Now, looking ahead to the All Ireland Junior Ladies Championship semi-finals this weekend, two big games played out over Saturday and Sunday. But in Parnell Park on Sunday, the meeting of Carlow and Down will be an intriguing one. And joining me to chat about that game is Roisin Bailey, Vice Captain of Carlow. And Roisin, I suppose, look, it's a big game for you guys taking on Down this weekend. How's everyone feeling going into this semi-final?
Oh, look, sure, it's a huge game, of course. I suppose there's probably a huge amount of excitement, especially in the last couple of training sessions. Like I know last night, it was really exciting, and like there was no kind of letting up. It wasn't an easy training session. We kind of were going hell for leather, I suppose, and it was, it's really a chance for us. And there's a huge confidence as well. Among the team and like excitement, like we were going back into the dressing room last night and we were kind of all saying we can't wait for Sunday now. Like we've put in so much work all year, and it's just a huge kind of excitement again, like, and to get to somewhere like that, and like we're just like the work we've put in, it's kind of to get to this stage now and to have such a big game and to have it somewhere like Parnell Park, like it's hugely exciting for us as a group of girls, and well deserved, I suppose, after the work we have put in.
And it's another semi-final for you guys. You've been in the last two semi-finals. This will be a third semi-final in a row for you. Didn't get the results that you were wanted in those last two, obviously coming up against Antrim, and now it's the challenge of Down, another Ulster team. Are you aware of Down? Have you played them before, or is this just a new challenge for you?
No, it's completely new. We've never played Down. Obviously, they're after coming down from intermediate last year. So like you said, it's a huge challenge. But I think the fact that we probably haven't played them, sometimes I think what sets in with us as a team is probably an element of fear. And when we've played a team before, it's kind of like, oh, geez, they bet us last year now, and we have to go out and kind of put it up to them again. Whereas, with Down, obviously we've done our research on them, we've looked at the videos, we've talked about them a lot, and we've kind of identified fact or like areas where we think we can kind of expose them. And I suppose they're the exact same, but it's nice to kind of have a fresh team, something new, that we've nothing to lose and all to gain, I suppose.
Does having lost the last two semi-finals, does that kind of maybe play on the mind a little bit now going into this game? Or as you say there, are you just going in with you've absolutely nothing to lose in this game?
I suppose I think obviously last year was our first year with the current management. The year before I wasn't involved in the team, and I think there's for the first semi final against Antrim 2 years ago, I suppose a lot of them girls, there is still a lot kind of still playing, but we've a really new kind of young fresh team, even kind of compared to last year. And with our management last year, it was obviously disappointing to get that far, and then to lose to Antrim in that way. But I suppose it is, it's not a sense of kind of looking back and thinking, oh God, well, we got to this far last year, and we got beat kind of considerably, I suppose. It's a fresh year, and I think we've been building for the last 2 years, and we've been building towards this point. And I remember last year Ed would have always said to us, like, you need to separate the performances from the results. And this year that was kind of the mantra last year, and this year it's kind of like, well, now we need the results as well as the performance. So I think it was kind of, it's a building block, and this year, like, we're really set. Like, this was our real goal, I suppose. It was probably a 2-year plan for management coming in. It's not something that you don't just win in All Ireland straight away. So we've really been working for the past 2 years to get to this point. So I don't think we're looking back on it. No. I'd hope we're not, anyways, and I hope we're all kind of on the same page that it's a absolutely brilliant opportunity, and there's no reason that we can't push on and get to Croke Park on the 13th of August, I suppose.
When you mentioned there, you've been with the team for, I suppose, a relatively short period of time, but what would your journey be like going into ladies Gaelic football? When would you have started, and how have you progressed throughout the years?
Yeah, well, I suppose I have a bit of a backstory with my football. So like I'm actually originally from, like, I'm living in Wicklow. So I started playing, I'd say, when I was about 4 or 5. Like, football is a massive thing in my family. My dad would have played for Carlow. My brother plays football obviously as well. So it's obviously a massive thing. But I would have played for a club in Wicklow, and then a small club, and it kind of got to the stage where there was no team for me. So I didn't play football for 3 years it was, and then eventually I got a transfer to my current club in St. Anne's. That's Tullow Grange. So that's where my dad is originally from as well. It's 10 minutes the other way. So that's kind of when, I suppose, my real kind of it really started for me. So I started playing with St. Anne's, and then I had 2 years with St. Anne's, and then I got called into the county panel. So this is, it's really only my fourth year, I suppose, playing football in Carlow, and my second year on the Carlow panel. So it was kind of it was a long kind of way to get here, and to I know, I suppose, when I didn't play football for those 3 years, it was a real struggle trying to get transfers and stuff. You know, with the Wicklow County Board, and I know there was a lot of people in Carlow who really kind of fought and to try get me to where I am now. So it kind of makes it all the more sweet, you know, when you do get to these big days and you can think back, and it kind of makes it all worth it. And I know my mom and dad would be kind of the same thought, because they pushed so hard to get me to where I am now as well. So yeah, it makes it all the more sweet.
And like, you know, you're obviously in the squad now, and coming in and like gelling now with the girls, I suppose. What ways is the group like as a dynamic? You know, are you, I suppose it was probably fresh faces coming in and people leaving and stuff like that, but is the core dynamic of the squad a good one, that you know, you'd be great teammates on the field, but you're also great teammates off the field?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I know it's probably, everyone always says it. You always get the same answer. Oh, we're all friends off the field as well. But we genuinely are. Like, you know, there's a real bond. And I suppose there's bound to be when you're spending, like, we've been training since the beginning of November, and you know, we're in July now. Like, so when you're spending 3+ days with these girls every week, you know, you're training on those horrible nights. It is a real, you do form a real bond. And I know, like, I know a lot of the girls. Before I went in, I knew a lot of them, and now, like, there's girls that I've met now that I wouldn't have known, and you kind of just know they'll be friends for life, I suppose. And like you said, there's a lot of fresh faces. I suppose I'm a relatively fresh face, but even this year, like, there's girls that have come in. I seen Emma Coogan. She did an interview for the Nationalist there yesterday. I read it, and just, she was even saying, like, she was so happy to come in, not only for the football but the people she's met, I suppose. And like, I look now, and there's no one on the squad that I wouldn't say, like, they're not, you know, part of the team. Like, there's 30+ girls on a panel, and we all genuinely are really so close. And of course, there's times, you know, where there's frustration that builds up and stuff, but it's kind of, there's never a situation where, you know, you can't kind of let out how you feel about, you know, something that's happened on the field, and then you leave it on the field, you know. And we can all still have that great bond outside, you know, outside the games and outside the training sessions. And I think that's really what makes a team. You know, you can trust the people around you, and you're kind of willing on yourself so you can win for your team. And I think that's really something that's kind of come true this year. You know, everyone is doing everything they can for the team, you know.
And you mentioned that, I suppose everyone's, you know, they're trying to will the team forward. Everyone is trying to be a core part of the squad. Are the training sessions fairly tough? You know, are you coming home from training, and you could be waking up the next morning, you could be absolutely shattered for the day after an absolute grueling, torturous night of training?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I look back on some of the training sessions now. Like, obviously now, like, even last night, like, it wasn't easy considering we have a semi-final on Sunday. But you know, we played 40 minutes of a football game, and it was hard. You know, like, there was nothing, no one was going easy on anyone, because there's still, like, you know, there's 15 girls going to be starting on Sunday, but there's 5 subs to come on. And like, I'm sure the guys, like the management team, they don't have an easy job picking that team, and the girls know that. You know, like, both the girls that have been starting, they're, you know, fighting to keep their place, and then the girls on the line are fighting to get onto that team. And I suppose, like, some of the training sessions, like you said, the grueling ones at the beginning of the year, like, there was times we were in there in the IT in Carlow, and we were running on the track, like, you know, there was a runners kind of nights. So nights like that, you know, they are tough, and the next morning you wake up and you're like, oh God, that was horrible, and you're like, I can't believe I had to go through that. But then when it comes to these kind of days, and you've these weeks, and you know, these like occasions to look forward to, it kind of does make it all worth it.
And how have you balanced everything around obviously playing for Carlow, such as, you know, are you working at the moment? Are you studying? Are you off for the summer? And, you know, have the time off to devote it everything to Carlow?
Well, yeah, no, definitely not off for the summer. I'm a student, so I'm in college. I'm my third year in college. I'm in and then I work kind of part time. Well, I work 5 days during the summer, I suppose. Obviously the money is needed going back up to college. Yeah, like, I suppose it is tough to manage it between kind of gym sessions, training sessions, and working around hours with work. I think when I was in college kind of tends to take the back foot when it's football. I suppose we were playing, me and Sarah, one of the girls, Sarah Dial, I live with her in college as well, and we were playing, me, her, and Clean. Where the three of us were playing football in college as well. So we were on the O'Connor Cup panel. And then, we were coming down for training sessions as well. So it was busy. Like, I was training 4 days a week for football, and then there was gym sessions, running sessions, and then obviously there's exams and assignments and stuff to kind of take into consideration. But so it obviously is busy. It's a huge commitment. But it's all worth it, I suppose, at the end of the day, for the love of it.
Looking at your championship run as well, 2 wins from 3 games, Fermanagh being the only team that have toppled you in the championship. Going into that London game, knowing it was win or bust, what was the feeling like, obviously, going into the game, knowing, we have to come out and get the result here?
Yeah, I suppose we knew, like, we played Derry the week before and London obviously 2 weeks before that, and we weren't happy with our performances. We did beat Derry, I suppose, convincingly in the end, but it was a second half, like, by 2 points. So then I suppose that kind of really, it was a wake-up call going into the London game, because I think sometimes, like, we played Derry last year, we bet them well, and then we bet London well in the league. So I think sometimes, without even realising it, it can kind of just set into the back of your mind. You're like, okay, we should beat these, I think for the London game, we couldn't have that mindset, and even in the warm up, like, we were, all guns blazing. There was no kind of, we knew from the start we had to go out, we had to, start well, and we did. Like, Sarah got that great goal at the beginning, and it really kind of set us up. And London kept coming back. It was a great game. It was really enjoyable, but, like, there was no kind of sense of, we should beat these now. Like, we knew we had a job to do, and we were really disappointed that we didn't get the win against Fermanagh as well. Like, we kind of went out, I suppose, nearly with a bit of fear, I think, against Fermanagh. And we kind of sat back and we didn't play our own game. We let them play our game, and we kind of let them run at us. And I think we kind of got rid of that, I suppose, against London, and we did what we could do, and we showed, how good we can be when we're on our day. And I know Ed always says, like, when we are at our best, there's no one that can beat us, and we all firmly believe that. But sometimes it's just sometimes we need a kick on to kind of get rid of that sense of fear, and play our own game rather than having teams kind of come at us, I suppose.
Obviously, now you got the result there, and you're gearing up now for the semi-final this weekend. But I know players don't like looking ahead and thinking, what comes next. But obviously, the next step is the day out in Croke Park, and for Carlow, that's something that hasn't happened before, that you've had that day in Croke Park in the All-Ireland final. So from a player's perspective, how amazing would it be for, I suppose, the development of Carlow ladies Gaelic football and the squad in general if you get over the line the weekend and are getting your day in Croker in August?
Oh, like, even you saying it there, like, genuinely, it would give me goosebumps. Like, it would get there. I know, like you said, you it's one game at a time, and we have to beat down to get. But it probably is still something that we're kind of using ourselves. It's a motivating factor. Like, no team in Carlow has ever won an All-Ireland. No ladies team has ever got to an All-Ireland final in Croke Park. So to be part of that group and be that team that does do that, like, and makes history, I suppose, in Carlow, it would just be incredible. And I think that's where everyone wants to be, isn't it? Everyone wants to be there in the 13th. No female footballer in the country that wouldn't want to be there. And I know the support we've really got this year has been amazing. Like, there's young girls who come out and play halftime in our games, and then they come up, they're coming up to us after games, and you can kind of really tell that they do look up to us, which is also amazing. So to kind of get there for ourselves, of course, and for our management, and then just for the younger girls who really are looking up to us, and, like, they're the future of Carlow as well. And Carlow, there's no reason that we couldn't get there. So it's obviously, it would be a dream come true, I suppose. But we have put in the work, and there's no reason, as I said, that we can't do it.
Well, we will have to wait and see, obviously, what happens on Sunday between yourselves and Down. That game throwing in at 2:00 in Parnell Park. We might see extra time. We don't know yet what's going to happen. It could be a fairly nervy tie in Parnell Park, but we'll have to wait and see what comes on the day. But look, thanks for chatting me today, Roisin, and best of luck for yourself and all the Carlow girls heading up to Dublin on Sunday.
So much for having me, Dermot.